You got high? Flash pay? Oh no, we don't have flash pay. I don't know, it freaked me out a little bit. G.E. Newton. I just want you to go home. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. Thank you again for returning. If you are new here, my name is Georgia and I am a Brit that's been living in Singapore for 5 years now, and I share all aspects of my life here in Singapore on my YouTube channel and also my Instagram. So if you want to go give that a follow. That truck is very annoying. And remember to subscribe if you want to see more from me. So today I thought we'd talk about some more funny things that can confuse foreigners in Singapore. I have done a video like this before, so I will link it up in the iCards or down below. I'm going to try and talk about some new things today because I don't want to keep repeating myself with the same topics. So I believe I've got a list of new things that I haven't spoken about before. And so yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and share some things that have confused me in Singapore. The first one is, it's quite funny. So when I first started working in Singapore, my colleagues would always be like, oh my God, last night I was so high. I got so high last night. And I'd be like, pardon? You got what? You got high? I thought drugs were illegal in Singapore. Like, surely you can go to prison for getting high, right? Like, does weed even exist in Singapore? I genuinely thought that they meant they were getting high, like off weed. Because that's how we say it in the UK, like, do you want to get high, or whatever. I think Americans say it the same, right? So when I kept hearing Singaporeans saying, oh my God, I'm so high, or I was so high last night, I was like, what? Turns out that just means drunk. So if you're drunk or you're like tipsy, Singaporeans say, I'm getting high. Which was super confusing to me because I literally thought that everyone in Singapore was like a rebel and everyone's getting high, smoking weed. Turns out they're not, and they're just getting drunk. So yeah, that's definitely something that surprised me at first and confused me, but now I understand that they just mean drunk. Something else that really confused me was seeing wakes, public wakes happen next to like hawker centres. So basically we used to live next to a hawker centre. We go down for dinner and there'd be like a big white tent with like some kind of ceremony going on and like some groups of friends and family, and I just thought that people were maybe having like a dinner or something like that. I didn't actually realise what it was, and then I looked closely and I could see a coffin at the back and like a photo of the person that had died, and essentially it's a wake. I remember for the first time seeing it, I was really like quite taken aback, and I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know, I'd just never been that close to like a coffin, or just knowing that someone's body was in that coffin and I'm just over here having my dinner. Like it, I don't know, it freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, years have passed now, and it's kind of become normal to me, like seeing these kind of things. I never understood why they were held like publicly in hawker centres, but turns out it's because sometimes if you're Singaporean that's lived in public housing, they will actually hold the wake at the like HDB. So that's why, because the hawker centre was surrounded by HDB flats, so it must have been where they used to live. So they hold the wake there for a few days. I think it's between 3 to 7 days. It has to be an odd number. Yeah, the friends and family come and gather every day to sit with the deceased, and it's kind of just like a sending off. I actually think it's a really nice idea. I do like the idea of not putting someone in the ground straight away and celebrating their life. Like, I do really like that concept. So that's what it was, and yeah, it definitely confused me when I first see it. And if any of you guys experience the same thing, now you know what the situation is. Obviously just be respectful and keep on walking, but yes, that's something that I didn't know about. Okay, this is something I've touched on before, but if you haven't heard me talk about it before, it's just the fact that you see the elderly working in like McDonald's, Subway, hawker centres, retail, Grab drivers, and this is something that really confused me when I first moved here, coming from the Western world where usually teenagers are kind of the ones forced into do these kind of jobs. You know, it might be their first job, they want to earn a bit of extra money, so it was really confusing for me to see those kind of young jobs be replaced by the elderly. And when I say elderly, I mean like old. I see a lot of these aunties and uncles, bless their hearts, and they must be in their 80s, 90s, and they're still working so hard. It's always not made me uncomfortable, but it's something that I've always kind of thought, oh, I just want you to go home and rest and put your feet up. But we've had this discussion, you and I, my viewers, about why it is that they're still working, and I think the consensus is that either they just want to keep working, you know, Chinese culture, just keep working till you die essentially, a strong work ethic, and they don't just want to sit around and get bored, they want to keep busy, or you know, they need the money and they need to still keep working, and they can't retire. So that's fair enough, but it was something that really confused me because, like I said, it's usually I would see teenagers or young people doing these kind of jobs. This is a funny one. I don't know why, but for some reason Justin and I really struggle in Singapore sometimes with people understanding our accent. And I always thought, you know, an English accent is probably one of the easiest British accents to understand. We've got so many accents in the UK that I would imagine for a Singaporean it would be really difficult to understand. If you are Singaporean, let me know which British accent is the most confusing to you, because we have some unique accents. So I always thought, okay, maybe my accent's a little bit easier to understand. Turns out it's not always. And I sometimes think if I spoke in a northern accent, I think the sounds are more similar to how Singaporeans pronounce things. Let's say, for example, I don't know, bath. If I was northern, I'd say bath, and then it would be easier for a Singaporean to understand, probably because that's how they say it as well. So accent-wise, I feel like we get misunderstood quite a lot. Even if we had an American accent, I think it would be maybe clearer. But I don't know why it is, because I feel like Singaporeans watch loads of like British shows and they know English accents, they can understand them, you know, watching TV, watching movies, but for some reason in real life we get, I don't know what it is. The funniest thing is sometimes when I'll call like to make an appointment somewhere, and they'll say, what's your name? And I'll say Georgia, and I say, can you spell it out for me? And I'll literally be like G, and they're like E, and I'm like G, E, and there's always confusion. It always makes me laugh. We also always have issues between saying the number 2 and 3. For some reason, when we say the number 2, everyone thinks that we're saying 3. So they're like tree, and then we're like 2, tree. I don't understand how they sound similar at all, but it's always like made us laugh, because even though Singaporeans do speak English, I feel like sometimes as someone with an English accent, still not quite understood. And that's where sometimes in these situations I have to put on a little bit of a Singaporean accent just so that I am understood. So like we live in Newton, for example. If I say Newton, people like a Grab driver just wouldn't understand it. He'd be like, huh? So I always have to be like Newton, Newton, instead of Newton. Just little things like this. Where I have to change my accent slightly just to be understood. Okay, another one is orchard. Let's talk about the fact that orchard is a complete maze and probably takes about 3 years to get used to and be able to navigate your way around. I say 3 years, I'm 5 years in, I still get lost in orchard. I don't know why orchard is such a difficult place to navigate. Do any of you guys think the same? It's like there's so many underpasses, there's so many exits. Feel like it's really hard to get from one part of orchard to the next. If I've got an address, I'm literally like looking around. I went for an appointment in Orchard the other day. I couldn't find the building anywhere. It's a maze, and I would imagine that for tourists it must be very confusing. I don't know why. Orchard is confusing. Leave a comment below and let me know if you agree or not. Another thing is the term draw money. I'm gonna go draw money. When I first heard it, I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you drawing? What are you talking about? Basically, draw money means I'm gonna get cash out. I'm gonna withdraw cash from the cash machine. In the UK, we say get cash out, which isn't, again, is not very clear. That could mean anything. So yeah, draw cash is a term that took me a long time to get used to, and now I have to make sure that I say the same, because get cash out just isn't something that Singaporeans are gonna understand. I touched on this a couple of years ago, but the term last time. So back home, if we said last time, it would literally mean the last time we did something. Last time I went to Brighton was 2 years ago. That was literally the last time that I went to Brighton. Brighton is a place in the UK, by the way, if you guys are thinking, what is Brighton? Okay, so if a Singaporean said last time I went to Brighton, they just mean I've been to Brighton in the past. They're not talking about the literal last time they went to Brighton, they just mean that they did it in the past. Very confusing. I don't know why it's so difficult for me to even explain it, but basically it means previously or in the past. It's not the literal last time. This took me a long time to understand. It got very confusing. So yeah, just bear that one in mind. The endless amounts of payment methods that are in Singapore can get very confusing. I still don't know the difference between all of them. You've got Nets, Flash Pay, you've got Visa, you've got Grab Pay, Fave Pay, Apple Pay, and it gets very confusing. So usually when you go to pay for something in Singapore, the cashier will always ask you, how would you like to pay? Now for a foreigner or for someone that's new to Singapore, it would be completely perplexing. If the cashier is like Nets or Visa, Flash Pay, PayWave, it's honestly endless. And what makes me laugh is when the cashier asks you how you want to pay and you'll be like, Flash Pay? And they'll be like, oh no, we don't have Flash Pay. Nets? Oh no, we can't do Nets. We only got Visa. And I'm like, so why didn't you just tell me in the first place to pay Visa? Like, I just want you to tell me how you want me to pay, and then I'm in and out of this 7-Eleven or whatever it is as quick as possible. That does make me laugh. So I feel like it gets very confusing, a bit overwhelming. There's so many payment methods. Yeah, just find one that you like and stick to that. Like mine is Flash Pay. I'll usually just tap the card. Very confusing. Okay guys, I'm gonna wrap the video up here, but I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know your comments down below on everything that I've mentioned. As always, do be sure to give the video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It really helps me out, and subscribe if you want to see more. If you are also a foreigner watching and you've been to Singapore, please be sure to comment below as well with things that confuse you, because I would love to hear your stories as well. Thanks guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.